San Francisco-based Accurexa is a biotechnology company focused on developing and commercializing novel neurological therapies based on their proprietary BranchPoint device, which delivers therapeutics directly into specific regions of the brain. I want to learn more about BranchPoint right now. I'm sure all the viewers want to learn as well. Let's talk to George Yu. He is Accurexa's president and CEO. He joins us here in New York in our studio for the very first time here on New to the Street. George, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So let's get right to it. I want the viewers to understand and learn about the history of Accurexa, how the company came to fruition, and how you got the name. Let's talk about it.
Okay. So we licensed the BranchPoint device from the University of California in San Francisco last year. And what was attractive to us was the device was mostly fully developed with a grant from the California Institute of Regenerative Medicine. That was a $1.8 million grant. And they literally gave the money to develop this device, and there was no equity that they wanted in exchange for that. So it was a very attractive proposition for us. And also the device was at a stage where it was ready to go into a 510(k) submission. So if you look at the device, the way it works is that you can radially deploy a catheter to certain areas of the brain, the way a tree branches out in different directions in three-dimensional depths. And the device, the goal of the device is really to sort of accurately deliver therapeutics to the brain, and we were inspired by the accuracy of the device and why we named the company Accurexa.
What type of therapy are we talking about, and what type of brain injuries are we talking about? Traumatic injuries from different things?
Originally, it was developed for the delivery of stem cells. I mean, the California Institute of Regenerative Medicine is sort of the stem cell agency in California. So they funded that. They saw the value that the device could bring to the patient by accurately deliver stem cells to where they're supposed to be. And so stem cells is certainly one big area where it can be applied for. Another area where it could be used is delivery of chemotherapy, because we know that if you look at current standard of care with chemotherapy, you have an issue with the blood-brain barrier getting the drug to the tumor site.
What is the history of BranchPoint, how it came to fruition, and how you got that name? Why the name BranchPoint?
The BranchPoint device was invented by a neurosurgeon named Daniel Lim at UCSF and his team. So he actually participated in a stem cell trial, a phase 1 trial a few years ago, where he was asked to deliver stem cells to the brain. And when he did that, he really didn't have adequate tools to do that. So the company who manufactures those stem cells, they spent millions of dollars putting into research of stem cells, but then they gave him literally a syringe and a needle for a couple dollars. So when he used that sort of syringe and needle, which is a straight needle, and injected those stem cells into the brain, he actually saw a substantial amount of stem cells coming out to the surface of the brain, which is what we call reflux. And that was the reason why he said, okay, there must be something better than this. And he applied for a grant, he got funded, he invented the device and developed it.
Now, staying on the subject of the brain, I mean, there are some things we know about the brain, but a lot of the brain is undiscovered, and we're learning new things about it every day. It's a really fascinating world that science and the medical community collide.
Right.
So BranchPoint is at the forefront to try and help people deal better when they've had to deal with traumatic brain injuries?
Well, if you look at the applications of the BranchPoint device and look at the brain itself, the brain is one of the organs where it's hard to deliver drugs there because of the blood-brain barrier. So now with our device, we can overcome that blood-brain barrier. I mean, the function of the barrier is to protect your brain from the rest of your body. So with our device, we can overcome that and deliver very accurately these therapeutics to the brain.
And staying on the subject of applications, all the different types of applications for BranchPoint, tell me about a couple of them.
Well, other than stem cells, where we're still a few years away from an approved therapy, we believe that our BranchPoint device can be important in the treatment of brain cancer. So the current therapy for brain cancer is orally administering temozolomide. The issue there again is the blood-brain barrier. It's hard to get the drug to the tumor site. And if you look at temozolomide, which used to be marketed by Merck under the brand name Temodar, it used to be a $1 billion drug before it went generic 3 years ago. And if you look at the benefit of that oral delivery, it was about 2.5 months compared to 12 months of survival typically for most of those patients. Now, we know from animal studies that were done at the Johns Hopkins University that if you directly deliver temozolomide to animals with brain cancer, you can actually increase the concentration of the drug in the brain threefold, and they even increase the survival of those animals fourfold. So that's the reason why we think our device can play an important role in the future.
Forgive the pun, so obviously it's a no-brainer that if you target the brain in specific areas with medicine versus taking it orally,
yes,
you're going to have a better success rate and a longer life, and it's going to be more advantageous to use branch point with that than taking something orally.
Yeah, we think there's going to be an advantage, but obviously, ultimately you have to do a clinical trial and prove it. So that's kind of our next step.
What has the reaction of the medical community been with branch point? From doctors, from hospitals, and from, I mean, there must be pundits out there who say, it might not work. What do you say to them?
Well, we've spoken to a number of physicians, neurosurgeons, oncologists. I mean, most specialists in the areas, they acknowledge that there's a delivery problem. But the question, what we get back sometimes is, can you actually deliver it? And if you deliver it, will the drug, diffuse through the tumor and really be effective? And that's something we're working on right now. So we're doing studies with a convection-enhanced delivery, where you basically put pressure, through pressure you infuse the drug through the tumor site. But ultimately, you have to do a clinical trial. You have to prove it in a clinical trial.
Now, how does Accurexa protect the intellectual property of the branch point device right now? Because I'm sure if it works and it's successful and everything does well, you're going to have a lot of copycats trying to take it.
Exactly. So the IP is owned by UCSF, the University of California in San Francisco. And they filed a patent application, which just entered the national phase, which is sort of the next step to get a patent for that. And we have exclusive global rights license from UCSF.
Where is branch point's device in their development right now? Is it close to regulatory approval?
So we mostly completed our testing and the design of the device. And we're kind of in the late stage of preparing a 510(k) submission to the FDA. So we expect that to happen this year. And then once it's FDA approved, we can potentially sell the device.
I want to go off the beaten path for a second with the interview, because I want you to tell the viewers and potential investors and people who are watching the program about you, George Yu,
right,
the person.
Okay.
In the office versus outside the office. How you decided to get in the business, and what's going on with you right now? Are you happy where you are right now with the company?
I'm actually very happy with the company. I'm also very happy with my life. So, I'm basically an entrepreneur right now. So, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I started out, kind of looking to become a physician because I come from a family of physicians. I always liked to be an entrepreneur. But when I left med school, medicine seemed to be very institutionalized for me, and that's why I was looking for something that's, where you can really do your own thing and move things forward on your own. So I always wanted to be an entrepreneur.
What would you say to people who are looking to park their money in this space, into Accurexa in the future,
right,
who want to have comfort and stability with what you guys are doing with branch point and everything within the company? What would you say to them?
Well, I would say that, the biotech space is a very risky space to park your money or invest into, obviously. So the way we build a company is step by step. So we take projects that are lower risk and near term and tackle them first. So for example, the device, getting that approved for the FDA is relatively straightforward compared to a drug, obviously. So that's the first step we're taking. And then after that, we want to develop a product or a program where we can deliver a chemotherapy drug with our device. And then after that, we're looking to deliver either stem cells or any other chemotherapy drug that we can extend the release of the drug. So as we move forward, we're building more and more ambitious programs, but we also want to measure ourselves with the goals that we can achieve with each step. So this is how we try to de-risk the company for investors and also for ourselves in the end.
And projects in the pipeline relatively soon and down the road for Accurexa, what's going on?
Well, very, very soon is the 510(k) submission. And then after that, we want to do a study with the delivery of temozolomide with our device. And then we're also looking to potentially develop a extended release form of a chemotherapy drug. And then ultimately, given the long development timeline, we also want to be active in the stem cell therapy space, either through partnerships or through our own development efforts.
Well, it's really interesting, everything that's going on with the brain, because it changes literally second by second. Technology that's here today is gone tomorrow, and what you learn today might be old for tomorrow, and it's constantly changing. I'm fascinated.
Yeah, thank you.
Will you come back and keep us up to date on what's going on with Accurexa?
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to your next invitation.
We're looking forward too. To learn more about Accurexa and their branch point device, visit Accurexa.com. We'll be right back.